it's Mazzy, and in 1975, I bought a pair of speakers for $600. My girlfriend Catherine thought I was out of my mind, thought I was crazy. And the speakers I bought, not this exact pair, but were the JBL Century L100 speakers. A great rock and roll speaker, great for jazz. Now, coming to where we are today, a lot of audiophiles think the JBL Century speakers are not an audiophile speaker. They don't like the bass reflex, they're boomy. JBL's, I won't tell the whole history, but they were studio monitors. They were based on studio monitors at the time, and they were one of the most popular speakers of the 1970s. Those of you that might recall that famous photograph that turned into a moving commercial too, of the man sitting in the Le Corbusier chair, face forward for Maxell tapes, and the side of these amazing foam grills of the JBL 100s. Now, they became such an iconic speaker. Now, the ones I bought, you had a choice of the color foam grills. I got orange. Now, remember, this was 1975. Orange and brown were the whole sort of post-mid-century style. Brown, orange shag carpets were a staple at the time. And I just absolutely love those speakers. Now, $600 then was a lot of money. I worked in a record store. I saved my money up. I lusted after these speakers. I had several amps at the over those years. I had I don't remember the numbers, but a Yamaha amp at one point. First, I think I had a Sherwood that was my first component system from, I got in 1971 or 2. And then in 75 or around that time, I got these, either a little before, a little after, I got this Yamaha, the Silver Line. I forgot what the numbers were, but just really love that. But I had these in an apartment in San Francisco with Jazz Shit Brooks. He was my roommate. I was in college at San Francisco State. And we used to blast these things to the dismay of a couple that lived below us in that apartment. It was a 5-unit apartment with like an in-law downstairs when you walked up the stairs in San Francisco, a block from the record store that I worked at in San Francisco in the Inner Sunset. It was a really fun time, but I used to blast these things. Now, some used to call them a bookshelf speaker, but they're too big for bookshelves, although we had these huge built-in San Francisco old apartment style items on either side of the fireplace, and I literally had them horizontal in those two cubicles, and later I moved them on the floor, again to the dismay of my downstairs neighbors. We'd have parties and blast them. I love these speakers. I had them until 1984 or 85, when I had an apartment right off of the Panhandle in San Francisco. And while I was at work on a Monday, someone broke into the back of the building, the apartment. I had the top flat above a storefront. I lived alone at the time, and they stole these speakers. They stole a CD player. This must have been the 85, 86. My first CD player I ever bought, an NAD, and literally I bought it on a Friday, and Monday it was stolen. They didn't steal any of my records. They stole all my stereo gear, my turntable, my CD player, the speakers, the receiver, and my silverware. They stole my underwear in the drawer, and they stole my JBL L100s. And I lusted for these for years afterwards. But I had B&Ws and Advents and all kinds of other speakers over the years. So I'm downstairs in my office, my music room where the CDs are, the drum set here. Now, before anyone challenges me, you can probably hear a little sort of reverberation of this drum set. It's not a good thing to put your drum set in between speakers, but I do have the snares off, if you know what a snare drum is. The snare is off, so you don't get that kind of vibration. But this is a room I just like to play music in and blast in. It's been fun. Well, I'm retiring these speakers. I'm selling them off. These were a pair that I've had for about 6 years. I bought them a couple years when after I moved to Seattle, and the guy who I bought them from totally refurbished the cabinets, put new cones in, new foam surrounds, there's a company that makes replica versions of these that are really lovely, and they get a blue pair. Again, my originals were orange. I believe they came in brown too. I think there's like a grayish black too at this point. But JBL Century L100s. Now in the last 4 years, they came out with a new updated modern version of the classics, and those sell for about $400 to $4,500 now. And I haven't heard them, but I hear they're great. They improved some of the inner workings of those speakers. And so some of the detractors of the JBL Centuries seem to like those speakers. These are on metal stands, and I'll show you some details of these. But this is sort of my farewell to these speakers. Why am I selling these speakers? Well, I'm getting a new amp upstairs probably in the next few weeks, a Hagel H390 integrated amp. And I have a surround setup with my BMWs that I've had for about 4 years upstairs, a 5.1 setup, which I really don't use. I don't do surround. Movies, maybe center dialogue. And I have the beautiful speakers, the rear speakers are these white BMWs, which I'll show later in this video, that I'm going to bring down here and have them a little more to scale for this room. Although these sound really great. And at the end of this, I'm going to play, I think, a Ry Cooder version of Dark End of the Streets from Boomer Story, one of my favorite guitar player, and I love that rendition of that song. These have sentimental reasons. That's the reason I bought them a few years ago. I like the mid-century styling. I'm a little bit of a, maybe superficial, because the looks of a speaker are as important to me as the sound of a speaker. And these were just such a beautiful pair. And I have someone coming by this afternoon that's very interested. In fact, 3 people back to back, depending on who's gonna take them. And they'll be gone by the time I post this video. And just love these speakers, but it's time to kind of move on. So thanks again for watching. This is my secondary system downstairs. Right now I'm pushing these through an early 90s Denon receiver. And I have a Rotel CD player, an old, I don't really play vinyl down here very often, but I do have a 1986 or 1987 Dual CS5000 turntable, which I need to update the cartridge on. But I do occasionally play records, and it's fun. But again, these are sentimental to me. These sort of, going back, what is that considered? Midlife crisis, old man crisis. You go back to your childhood, to a memory of a sound, of a vision, a visual, and these JBL Century 100s were really important in my life. And I had them at a time from being 21 years old till 31. So a good 10-year run, and love those speakers then and enjoy them now, but it's time to move on to something else. Dark End of the Street, Ry Cooder, Boomer Story.